Good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. How are you?
My son's playing fireman.
Okay, that's good. As long as it's not with a real fire.
Not a real fire, but it's real water.
Good morning.
I made the mistake of sitting on my bed and I found the wet spot.
I've come into the middle of this conversation, so I'm not going to ask questions.
Well, that's good that it's real water.
David's playing fireman and he's putting out fires, but they're imaginary fires with real water.
You
So
got to get him a helmet.
Yeah,
I
he's
thought he was a
got one.
pirate. I thought David was a pirate.
Depends on the day of the week.
that was last week.
I'm just out of my time. I'm sorry, guys.
No. The other day he's in the tub playing cruise ship and pirates, and the pirates sank the cruise ship.
I love it.
Oh, no. Titanic down. Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Travel Tuesday. We want to welcome everybody here today. My name is Ron Claydon. I'm the president of the Hope Collection, and we partner with Optimize My Life Golden Rule Society also as a broadcast site for the program called Optimize Your Life. We are privileged today to have already on the show two dynamic individuals who are movers and shakers in today's world. And there's a lot that since COVID, we now are having things that are just exploding. And I use that word as just is not enough to describe in the area that we talk about and we're involved with a lot is called travel. And I read in the book that I will want to take from it. And in that book, God said to us, Lord said to us, a man without vision will perish. And during COVID, so many dreams were thwarted. So many things were locked down, and people were so jailed. Quite figuratively, they were in jail. They weren't allowed to go see people, visit. We had people that wouldn't come to our house for dinner. Now, we had other people who did. And, we kept a conscious ability to have involvement with our community and our church. And everything we followed as many of the rules to the point where we wouldn't go where they wanted us to go. So we went and we still entertained and we still went with people because we know that we are human beings. We are meant to be social and we're supposed to intertwine our personalities, our spirit, our visions, our dreams, our goals. That's what makes society works. That would make the kingdom of God, which I serve, and I know many people in this call the same way. So keeping that in mind, that's like a building block. We understand. And as a result, when what came into our life was a program, and in our case, it was brought to us by a gentleman and his wife, Mr. Rick Reese. And Rick had been, I'll call him an aviator. He was in the Air Force and he was an officer, and he helped lead a team of people that have helped this generation. Before 1970, 80, if you got lost, you would go to the gas station and ask for help or the corner store. Sometimes you had a paper map that you got you tried to follow directions, but they always took you the wrong way. And then, of course, you always had your wife telling you got to get directions, and we don't take it directions. So what Rick did, and maybe he knew he was being a part of it when he did it, maybe he didn't, but he was working, and his education and all the training and everything he did is there was an opportunity to create a new international, worldwide changing program called GPS. And they have satellites. They run by satellites up in space, and Rick was central to that happening. So we thank him and congratulate him for his work and his effort he did. He left that field and the United States called Katrina, and thousands of lives were altered with a storm, a hurricane, a tragedy. And Rick was on the problem, just like he's been all his life. He's been on the side of helping find solutions. And what he did, he had up a group that literally resettled people in their home to have homes, resettled them with jobs, resettled them in education, reunited them with people that they could build life from. And that was in Colorado. Now, Katrina was hundreds of miles away. Excuse me, I'm sorry, the sneeze was coming. But anyways, what Rick did was his knowledge and experience and his spirit, his heart. He followed to lead people to move into a better life. And when the travel industry came into him, Brenda's life, he didn't see it as that at all. He saw it as a way that he and his wife could just travel together. A lot of people, you see it on TV. There's cruise lines on every day. There's resorts. You can go to Secrets. You can go to, there's all kinds of places every day. Atlantis. There's commercials multiple times a day that are saying, leading us towards get away to Florida. Disney World's back on board. All these places that you and I both know that sometime in our life we've had that in our heart. We've seen a commercial that says, gosh, that would be neat to go there. And maybe we've been in our life has been tied up with all the tragedies and all the issues that have gone on. And life goes on. But if you don't do something and plan something, it'll go on without you. And then all of a sudden it goes by you. Well, what Rick Reese has done is giving each one of us a tool. I always use this story. You've heard me say it, I'm sure 100 times. You probably get sick of it. But if you like tomatoes, I love this time of year we plant tomato plants. Soon we'll have nice, fresh, red, ripe, peppery smelling peppers or tomatoes. And when they get ripe, we go in the kitchen on a hot summer day and we get a real sharp knife, a ginzu knife, I call it, and you slice it up, and then you put salt, pepper, and some mayo, or you chop them up and put it into a dish, put some Italian dressing, get some fresh mozzarella, maybe some chopped onion or chives, and you produce something that's aromatic and wonderful and refreshing, and it gives it's an improvement in life and health. Well, having a tool like that ginzu knife to cut the tomato in life, a tool to get to travel is a tool called Surge 365. And I'm going to introduce, I've been talking about Rick here for a few minutes. I had to give you that background information. So when he starts talking, you will recognize immediately his experience, his caring, his knowledge, and his vision to what you can do and change your life in the same way. Hi, Rick.
Hey, how's it going? Good to be on the show.
It's great to be on the show today. I
I was listening
appreciate
to
it.
you explain. Who's that guy? Who's that guy you was talking about?
Well, you're the
I
guy.
want to meet him.
Well, I did too, and I didn't know it when a third party mutual friend invited us to get together and to meet and to talk. And I am so grateful he did that. In my life, he was my best friend, my business partner, my spiritual leader. And I can't remember a time when the advice that he didn't give me wasn't beneficiary, blessing, spirit driven, God given, and he always wanted the best for anybody around him. That's the one thing you always knew, that what he was, his heart, his spirit was always based in recommending something that was going to allow you or me to improve our lives. So he said, call Rick and Brenda Reese. And I don't know, we did that. And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, after 10 years, my wife and I had been getting brochures from a company called Viking River Cruise. You see them on TV. They have the longboats. They're the people that are going through the rivers through Europe. And they're saying to get on the longboats and you get more time being there than getting there. That's their theme. And so we were able to get on that thanks to you and Brenda. Why? Because what we're talking about today as we talk about travel, you gave me that Ginsu knife, that way and means and travel, and the tool to earn the money. I didn't have the money to go, but you know what? less than 60 days later, Lynn and I were on board the Edie, a cruise ship. I got a book. Linda made a bound book with the story of our trip, and I got a picture of the ship here on the cover, on the front page. Inside, I got Lynn and I with the captain of the ship, and then there's pictures of us going to different places in Europe. We were in the Rhine Valley. We were at a little town called Rudenschein. We went to Cologne, Germany, where we got to go through the Lindt chocolate factory. I wanted to jump in the vat, but they weren't open. The factory was closed. So all we got were free samples in the store of those truffles. And we went to Notre Dame, which is not. There's more than one Notre Dame, and there's one in that's in Strasbourg, and it was one of the earliest churches, cathedrals built, and the stories were just incredible. I'm just browsing through the pictures here right now. Believe it or not, we went through the town where Bertolli was born. Now, might not know who Bertolli is, but if you go in the New York City, and there's a statue there that's famous around the world called the Statue of Liberty. Well, we were in this town, and I got a picture of it right here of a smaller size scaled model of the Statue of Liberty, because that's where Bertolli was from. And he designed and created the Statue of Liberty, which is still in the Harbor today. And we're so proud to have that. I know the French want to take it back. But anyways, thanks to Rick, that event happened. And what I'm here to say to you today is, as we're listening to it, we've had the opportunity to travel a whole bunch of places. And what's really cool, Rick?
What's that?
Because of this association that empowered us. People ask me a lot of times, well, what do you do, Ron? And I like to use the word empower. We empower people. We can help people in incredibly short periods of time create the dollars and cents, income, money, real stuff that you spend to buy travel and trips and go places or improve health or improve lifestyles, pay rents, pay mortgages, buy, pay for cars or get cars. We get the power to do that thanks to you and Brenda. And I only want to say to anybody and everybody who's listening in, this isn't just a pep talk. This is real. Yesterday, Linda got a package in the mail from Lowe's Hotels. She went on a webinar. One of the benefits of this association, this membership, was being a member, an owner of Surge Travel Agency, is we get on webinars, and these webinars tell us all about hotels all over the world. Like in this case, she was listening to what about the Lowe's Hotel, and they want us to book people they want us to come to or book people in Lowe's hotels. So as an incentive, Linda got this, what they call it, honey?
Swag bag.
Linda got a swag bag. Now, what it is this gold and canvas bag. And in this bag is another bag. And in this other bag, there was like a very expensive
A Yeti cup.
A Yeti cup with hot and cold.
Oh, what?
Coffee or hot tea or hot chocolate. So we travel with that. She got a water cup with an insulated water cup with a straw. We got a package with inside it was a miniature umbrella. So if we're traveling in her purse, we got something.
Oh my gosh.
Then there's there's a bottle opener. There's some pens.
Lip gloss. And then
the
little mini bars.
Oh, and then we got these cans, these tins, and they've got mini bars for drinks. What are the drinks?
A Moscow Mule and a Mojito.
We can make a Moscow Mule. We go to our hotel room and we just get the soda or whatever that goes with it, and we can make up these cocktail drinks. And this came in the mail as a gift to us in a letter. I got a note encouraging us and welcoming us to go to a Lowe's hotel the next time we travel. Now, we've also gotten one free trips. We got airfare to go to Europe one time. We already had a scheduled trip in the window that they gave us to go on the cruise. It was go on a cruise in Europe, a bus tour in Europe. We had already cruise planned, so we couldn't go. But we did win it. We've won $200 gift cards from American Express from companies that all they do, Rick, is educate us and tell us why we should go on an American river cruise, or why should we go to Hawaii, or why should we go to Europe, why should we go to Africa, or why should we go to Florida, or where we should go to Canada. These are just incentives and information. We are empowered. See, I just am starting up working with our church has an outreach, and there's an organization that actually takes a group of young men, and they live at this beautiful home for boys, young men, and they have them for 18 months, and they learn how to be good citizens. They learn everything that there is to know how to be able to compete, how to work to compete, the understandings of how business and socialization. And they may, when they get there, they may have become broken up, been raised in a broken home, so they haven't had many of the things that you and I take for granted because we've had 100 years of trainings. We had 100 years of a mom that would crack us over the butt if we didn't do what they're supposed to do. Well, we don't do that, but we give them incentives to learn so they can grow to become happy, young, growing men and leaders in the community. Well, anyways, that all came about because one day Rick Reese came into Ron and Linda's life. So, Rick, I'm going to turn it over to you to continue sharing the implements of what the tool that we have that starting today on this call, anybody listening in, we can make a difference. If you have a need of so much amount of money, you name the amount, we can help you earn it. You have to do the work. You got to do the walk, but we'll walk with you and we'll help you get her done.
Well,
So I'm
Ron,
turning it
we
over
have
to
a
you.
special guest on the call here also. You may know her by name, Queen.
Aha! Wow.
So we give a shout out to Queen.
Hello, Kim. It's great to hear you and see you on the call. Thank you.
You know, everything you're saying is just amazing. And when you hold the key to unlock someone else's future, you can't hold on to the key. You got to give it away. And that's all Brenda and I did is that, we know that we've got something that people need, and that is Surge 365, and it's a travel business and it's ownership, in the travel industry. And Linda, you're making me want to become a Lowe's specialist so I can get a swag bag. All those free things. You can't beat it. You know, one of the things that is so cool, and you guys are, awesome at doing this, taking the different trainings, the travel trainings that are available. And when you think about it, they're online. But as part of Search 365, we have Travmanity, which is a host travel agency. And so remember that every mom and pop little travel shop used to be in the malls and all over the place. And then something happened. They disappeared. Why did they disappear? They disappeared because the travel industry, the brick and mortar travel agencies shifted to the internet. You know, from the big boys all the way down to the mom and pops, everything shifted to the internet. And most of them, went the way of the dinosaur. We saw that before it happened. Ron, we were up when we opened Canada, with the Legacy Company. We flew out to Canada and we had this big old convention offering a home based travel opportunity to the Canadians. We had just opened Canada. And so we flew out there, Brenda and I, along with team members, to be part of that historic event. And while we were out there, we actually used the GPS in Canada. And I was like, wow, man, I have no idea where we're going, but GPS knows. From the hotel to the convention center. I'm like, this is just amazing. And that was back in, oh man, way back when, early 200s or so, 2020 something, something. But anyhow, we opened Canada. And so we went to, on one of the nights, we went to a mall. And the Canadians were kind of behind us. They still had, brick and mortar travel agencies, where most of the travel agencies in the United States, the brick and mortars, went the way of the dinosaur. They were still thriving in Canada. And so we go to the mall, and they had travel agencies in the mall up in Canada that were still just so arrogant and so into themselves and so prima donna. And you walk in there, they had all the brochures, and they're kind of stuffy. And I'm looking at them like, but you don't know what's coming. Just wait. You're just a couple of steps behind us in the United States. And, brick and mortar is going the way of the dinosaur. Believe you me, that's going to happen in Canada also. But it just reminded me how we've got a tool. And so with the travel agency, the host travel agency that's partnered with Surge 365, actually owned almost by Surge 365, called Manity, we can become travel advisors. Now, being a travel advisor is a whole new career field. And so as people are looking to start new careers, they're going back to college and they're spending thousands of dollars, years in the classroom yet. And when they could actually just come into Surge 365, become a travel advisor as part of the tools, travel tools under the umbrella Surge 365, and I have access, get this, to have access to all the industry specialist training. Linda becoming a Lowe's travel specialist, getting a swag bag. I followed your lead in becoming a river cruise specialist. This is America River Cruises.
Yep.
I don't even remember because I just followed your lead. And I got the certification. And now I'm going to follow your lead to become a Lowe's travel specialist. Brenda is a Princess Cruise Commodore, meaning that Princess Cruises offers a free online training, and this online training is free. So while people are going back to college and doing this, that, and taking all these courses and then getting out and realizing that there's people out here that have their degree and experience looking for a job, stand in line. They can come into Search 365 and as part of the Search 365 umbrella have access to Travemanity and can take the training to become a travel advisor. That is amazing to me. And be ready to go within 30 days because they give them a wait period of 30 days to make sure they're serious. But they can take all that training, and then once they pass that 30-day window, they can become a travel advisor and have access. Do you want to be a SeaWorld specialist? Do you want to be a wedding destination specialist? As we talk about it, do you want to be a neurodiversity travel specialist? And we were talking about this the other day and saying with the travel business and having access to all the travel training to become a travel advisor and have access to the global travel industry and all the training that's available to become a specialist in any area. A person can take their passion, their life experience. I love talking to Mary and talking about, and we spoke about it last week, neurodiversity travel. If they have an understanding of neurodiversity, they can combine that with travel, and they can set up trips. They can talk to the industry about regulations and how do I meet the needs of this population. It creates a whole nother opportunity. I was speaking to someone the other day about emergency management. We're seeing, of course, the tornadoes, the hurricanes, and people being displaced, and over here and over there. 175,000 people displaced because of the fires in California and just across the world. And we were talking about emergency management as a career field and classes that are available online with FEMA, classes where you can become an emergency management specialist. And people are doing that. Combine that with Surge 365, you can become an emergency management travel specialist, right? People aren't doing that. Why is that? Because they don't have access to the industry. And so Surge 365 with Travemanity provides access to a closed industry. so that you're not just a consumer, but you have access to the wealth and the profits and the commissions of this industry travel. So combine that with emergency management. Yes, I am a specialist in emergency management. A person can take that and talk to, whomever, whichever city official. Hey, I can help you get those people, moved. I can help you get those people settled. They need to be in hotels. I can help you get them in hotels. I can help you fly them wherever they need to go. Are you kidding me? Now you can actually monetize your knowledge. So, what is your passion? If you're listening to this real time or recorded, what is the passion? What is your life experience? Something that you know. Combine that with Surge 365, Travemanity, travel, and turn it into a career field. Ron, isn't that cool?
Absolutely, it's fantastic. Well, along the way, we've learned a lot of different things. It's funny when we last year we had a chance. One of the rewards that being a part of of the organization, the host organization called Host 365 slash Trabanity, is when you operate your business, stay operating, and that's voluntary. You when you do that for 12 straight months, you get a certificate from a company called Odessa. And what that means is I have a brochure in my hands. It's called 7-Night Resort Getaway. Lynn and I have gotten multiple times because we've stayed in business multiple years. We got this certificate we got another one. I'm waiting for it to come in the mail any day. We've been awarded another certificate. And because we've done it, we've been there and we stayed there, we now are getting the reward. It's worth about $1,500. Well, last year, just before all the hurricanes hit Florida, we went to St. Augusta and Daytona. And our 7-day night resort was right across the street from Daytona Speedway. We come out the front door of our hotel, and there is the Speedway, the big sign, Daytona International Raceway, where the big races, the Super
Wow.
Bowl, NASCAR. And it's incredible. And that was a beautiful hotel we stayed in. It didn't cost us a dime. Well, right down the street from that, the Speedway and the Strip, there's a lot of hotels there you can imagine because the Raceway, again, holds, I don't know, a couple 100,000 people when they have the races. Right down the street is the University of Florida has a school, and it's on the big gold letters on the brick wall in front of it says School of Hospitality. Rick, to go to that school and get a degree in hospitality, first you got to be willing to put the money up. Got to have some grades from some school to get into it. Put the money up, and then you got to go sit in the classroom for a couple of years.
How about
Now,
that?
when you're doing that, you're not making any money. You're learning. And when you're done, you got to go get a job. Now, for the price of a telephone, cell phone, you can own a business and you can start tomorrow. Start going to university, the travel agent university, and you can get the same education that they got down at the school of hospitality. But when you're done here, you don't have to wait to get a job. You already got a business, and you get all kind of benefits, including if you book somebody, you can make money. Now, if I could help people understand the power of what that means in any individual's life, it doesn't matter what their settings are, doesn't where they are, what they're going. It doesn't matter. You can start today.
As you're
Doing.
saying that, I was working with a lady who actually came into Surge, and she's from Canada and living in Arizona, and she's Indian, and so she comes from a tribe in Canada. And she said, Rick, and I was telling her, about Surge, and she came on board into Surge, and she says, I wish I had this a couple of years ago in Canada, because on her reservation in Canada, they had one of the universities come in, and like you're saying, they taught on hospitality and tourism and provided some on-site training. And she says, we paid over $60,000 for this university to come in and to teach on career opportunities in hospitality. And then she says, after they finished the course, it was about, a few months course, nobody could get a job because it didn't connect to the industry. It was just knowledge, and it did not connect to the industry. And none of the students could find employment. And so when I was telling her about Surge and Trapmanity, like you're saying, we could have provided that same for less, of course. And once the folks completed that initial, for us, the first class training, once they completed that training, and of course they've got the whatever time period, 30 days, to open up to suppliers, to vendors in the travel industry global.
For life.
Then they could have connected because we connect to the industry. I have a travel business. I'm a travel business owner that connects to the industry without restriction, without limitation. We connect. The key is we connect to the industry. So this university comes in, provides all this wonderful training, but they don't connect to the industry. And so it was a dead end, right, for all of these students who were so hopeful. And you can imagine them going through the hospitality course and going, oh man, that's awesome. That's great. That's wonderful. Oh, travel the world. Oh, help people travel the world and do cruises and da 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 da. And then get to the end of the training and it doesn't connect to anything. Whereas we connect. You come into Surge 365, you are a travel business owner. You take the appropriate training. You now are a travel advisor. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a career opportunity. As people are trying to find their place, in the workaday world, and most folks are out of place. People are getting let go. People are starting, new careers. You got people who they say you're too old, you're too young, you don't have the right background or college degree, and they're like, oh my God. You have veterans, you have millennials who are doing things outside of what they went to school for. You have kids in high school who are trying to figure it out. I like to go into vocational training. I don't want to go to college. I want to do something real time. And here we are as a career opportunity for such a time as now. I was reading the book Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell. And Malcolm Gladwell, in his book, he says, the opportunities of a generation are created from the timing of the needs of that generation. After World War II, the soldiers came home, had all of these kids. Guess what exploded? Education. All the schools they needed to go to. Mattel toys, right? Hula hoop. All these toys to satisfy the kids, right? As they grew from infant all the way to adult, everything was there for them. Your generation determines, what excels. Where's the money spent? Right now, 9 billion people were locked down following COVID. 9 billion globally. Travel right now, an $11.1 trillion industry. These folks want to travel. You look at Surge 365, and it touches on every aspect of the travel industry. You've got the Vortex for online travel. People don't understand, to be able to be at the level of Expedia, coming in, like you said, for less than the cost of a cell phone and owning your own online travel business, and to have a product like the Vortex. And the Vortex, where you have access to the commissions that it makes, same commissions for the same suppliers and vendors, that makes Expedia billions of dollars. A person coming into Surge 365 has the Vortex. They're in that same market space of being able to give out a free link, a free private, personal discount travel portal. Give it out to the world where people can actually book the same hotels, the same cars, the same cruise, you know, the same as going through Expedia, Priceline, except the commission to have access. And the key word of Surge 365 Travemanity is that it gives you access to the industry and to the profits of the industry. But they can give out that free link for spring break, for summer, for holiday season, for Super Bowl, for baseball, hockey. Here's a free link that's going to Daytona, right? That's going to save you money when you book your travel. And a person can go to that complimentary link, and they're going to say, because it has an algorithm, they're going to say it goes out when they book that hotel. It goes out and looks at the public price for that particular hotel, specific hotel, comes in up to 60% less, right? And whatever the savings are, the owner of the vortex gets a check.
Rick,
If they say $50, a check. Go ahead.
I'd like to share you an example, a simple example. One day, my neighbor across the street came over to the door, knocked on the door. And we hadn't met him yet. They just moved to the neighborhood. And Alex said hello, introduced himself. We chatted. And him and his wife, Leanna, have a little baby boy. And, we just met. We're neighbors. So we invited him to a picnic we were going to have that week. And we invited them there. Well, he came over and he said, well, somebody told us that you guys are travel agents. And my wife and I, we met in Hawaii last year. We're going to get married in Hawaii this year. So we've already booked the airplane. We already booked the hotel, but we don't know how to get there. And we want to do a couple things. We want to travel a little bit we're on Aloha, on one of the hotel islands. And we want to go snorkeling. We want to go on the caves tour. We saw that on a TV ad. Can you help us? Well, I certainly said yes. So they came back over. I did a little research for them, went online, went to the island they're staying at, what they're doing. I looked up, and there were like 12 different itineraries, things that they could do. They were scheduled, that had weekly schedules that you could go on. And so the scuba one was neat. They go and made it a place not far from their hotel, and they go. There was a 5.5 hour tour. They went out on a big snorkel boat with a raft, and they did scuba diving. I'm sorry, it wasn't snorkel, scuba diving. And they went into the caves where they have those beautiful blue grottos, where they're in the cave, but the light comes through the holes in the roof of the cave, and it's beautiful blue, and the water's crystal clear. And they were in that, and they did that, and they went to that one. They went snorkeling, went around all the beautiful fish and the coral and all that stuff. Well, they did that, and then they had a hotel that they had already booked, and they wanted to get a car so they could get around. So we went them, looked at them, listened to them, gave them a printout. I just printed out a couple of sheets on what it was. They came back with their credit card. We went in. They signed up. Here's the key. We signed them up with the Vortex. We had them just their name and their email address. They had a password. So now they have a Vortex access to Travemanity Surge. And what they do is they actually booked it themselves. Now they saved on the snorkel trip, they saved $240. And on the car, they saved for a week. And they didn't just get a mini car, they actually got a mid-sized car. And a Nissan Sonata or something like that, or Nissan, one of those. And they enjoyed it. It was wonderful. It wasn't a little squeaky thing with two-seater. They got a car. They saved another couple $100. Well, what the was funniest thing, I got a check in the mail. Guess how much we got a check in the mail for? $500.
Wow.
We had $500.
Wow.
All I did was gave them the connection. They
Oh
did
my
the work.
God.
See, I'm just baffled by the fact that when someone needs cash, we have a tool. When you own the business, you have it. You can use if you don't give out the vortex, we get, we the company even has, you get cards that are made up, beautiful tropical looking vortex card, and you put your address, your email address, and they create a vortex site. All of a sudden, you can be making money and you can be sound asleep. They could do that on Sunday night at 3 o'clock in the morning in their jammies or whatever. They can go book. We have been giving out cards like crazy because guess what? Sunday in church, I talked to a bunch of people. Linda's been ill, so she hasn't been able to go to church. So everybody comes up to me and wants how we're doing. I couldn't tell you how many people I said hi to, but I will tell you, 7 of them told me they had just gone on a trip or had been away. Oh, we didn't miss you. We didn't see you last week. Anyways, 7 different people have gone on a trip last week. You know what? None of them have bought their travel from me. I was not happy about that. But we're set up, the churches, we're going to be launched. The church is actually setting up a program where every single member of our congregation is going to have a Vortex card. And guess what? The church is going to make money to pay for our food bank and this other mission trip we're working on. And it's going to fund that program. And these people are spending their money, and the only thing they're doing is giving the profits to Expedia and Travelocity and Hotels.com and Book It, all these other companies. And all they do is spend money on TV to keep promoting people to come. They don't do anything good for those church and the mission that we have right here. They don't have to do anything. They just register their name and they got their site and they can do it. And if they have a question, Linda and I are here to help them. But I'm telling you, I want to keep hitting this. People have got to realize this is a moneymaker. This is a
I know.
pocket
Hey,
moneymaker.
it's that is just amazing. $500, but Expedia makes billions. Because, excuse me, you were just one person. And I was just thinking about this as I was sharing about Malcolm Gladwell and his book Outliers. And in that book, he also talks about timing and training and preparation. So the things that a person is doing right now is being ahead of the curve in a particular industry to be primed, to be prepared, and to be ready. Because in that book, they talk about all of a sudden, the thing that you thought you was doing in obscurity becomes the thing, right, that everybody wants. And so, of course, during the years of obscurity or where people don't get it, they don't see it, a person is frustrated. But hang on. They talk about in that book, they talk about Jewish lawyers back in the 20s, and they weren't welcomed, in the other traditional law firms. And so when they finally welcomed Jewish lawyers into the traditional law firms, they gave them the roughest jobs. And they made them responsible for hostile takeovers because, of course, it was gentlemanly. Nobody wanted to be put in that position of, that conflict. And so they gave that to the Jewish lawyers at that time. And so you're talking the 20s. And so the Jewish lawyers, of course, gained a skill set, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. And, they became expert in hostile takeovers, comfortable with it, understanding how it is, creating whatever, processes. And come the 80s, and we all remember Wall Street, right? Michael Douglas. Hostile takeovers became the thing, late 70s, early 80s. And guess who were the experts?
Yes.
The Jewish lawyers who back in the 20s were given something because nobody wants to do this. But in the days of obscurity, they were trained, they were prepared, they understood. So when the 80s came, they just busted loose. They busted out. They controlled everything because they knew it. Surge 365, we are being prepared uniquely. There is going to be an even bigger explosion in travel with the vortex, as a revenue generating tool, with Travmanity and becoming a travel advisor as a career option, with the members program and the concierge service, and being able to travel wholesale instead of retail. and enjoying those savings. There's going to come a time when that is just, I gotta have one, right? We who have been uniquely prepared. That's why if you're hearing me today, make a move today. People miss their opportunity. And of course, opportunities don't go away, they just go to someone else. Don't miss your opportunity to be in position. Everything is about positioning and timing. Don't miss your opportunity to be ready. Just like the Jewish lawyers were ready and they took advantage of the 80s. That's just one example. But everybody, things that are happening in obscurity. Bill Gates and all the training that he had working in computer centers and this, that, and the other you know, before computers exploded. He was well trained prior to, well prepared prior to, so that when that moment happened, who took advantage of it? Bill Gates. Look where he is today. Don't miss your opportunity. Don't miss
Hey,
your opportunity.
Rick,
Go right ahead.
you just spurred another analogy I'd like to share. There was this lady and her husband that had a little bar restaurant up on Main Street in Buffalo, New York. And back in the 60s, and the people we have back then, bowling was real popular. It's in the theater district. There were a lot of things to do at the time. One Saturday night, her son and a couple of buddies were at the restaurant, and they wanted a snack. It was late, and they wanted a snack, and she didn't know what to do. So Teresa went into the kitchen, and she had a bowl of what they normally did is when they cut up chickens they have roast chicken and they'd serve the breasts and the thigh and the leg and the white meat and everything, and they throw the wings and the legs and little wing drumsticks. They'd throw them away. So she turned around and she thought, it was then they were closing up the shop. So she turned around and she deep fried the chicken wings and she put some hot sauce. I mean, really hot sauce. And she took the hot um, uh, grilled chicken wings, and then she put the a little butter with it, and then it was still sizzling, and then she put the hot sauce on them, and she served a bowl out to her son and the guy at the bar. They loved them. And you know what? Today, you can't go anywhere. There's not a restaurant around town that doesn't sell chicken wings. And people around the world, that was an item that people used to throw away. And yet today, how many millions have been made and people and chicken, there's
Buffalo chicken
wings and
wings.
things. And there's there's every kind of chicken wing place. And if you sell pizza, you sell wings. Today that item it has a value big time. People don't realize many times something that's very subtle is a fortune. And when you can help somebody that's going on a cruise or going on a honeymoon or going somewhere anyways, and you can help them just with a car rental, you make money. I
Well,
don't
you
know about
know,
you, but I like to supplement my income when I want to do something more. We have our budget, and that's already accounted for. But what if I want to do more? So guess what? We can just go do some more things. We're lining up a couple more things. We got a cruise coming up in May, and people tell me, well, it's May, it's already March, going into April. How can there's enough time if somebody wanted to go with us on the cruise? They got enough time to go get the money to get it done, but they got to move fast. Well, they got to move, and we can help them do that. There are so many ways. Summer is coming. I don't know how many people would love to take their kids or their grandkids or nieces and nephews or whatever and go to Disney. Disney's, even though they're putting out bad movies still, they're still the Disney. Mickey Mouse is still a dream. Remember, if you wish upon a star, Jiminy Cricket, that's still a dream. That's still people. There's the cruises, the Disney cruises. I mean, there is more things. There are more places to
hey
go to.
Ron, what a memory you triggered, right? When you and Linda and Gary went to Disney World, and you and Gary had the motor scooter that you could put in turtle or rabbit mode, and Linda chose to walk. Who will they definitely will not choose to walk in the future, of course.
Ever again.
But and how and at Disney World they got the hills and ups and the downs, and you actually used one of your 7-day reward trips to stay at the Embassy Suites.
Yep.
and you got your little motor scooter because you are part of, I don't know if that was through what special
Scoot
needs
about.
LLC or whether that was through Scoot Around, but you're a special needs travel specialist. And they delivered your motor scooter to the hotel
Right to
and
the
picked it
front
up
desk.
afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't have to go pick it up. I didn't have to go a mile and a half. By the way, Disney has scooters. You can rent them, but you got to walk 2.5 miles to get to the place where they rent them, and you got to go there. And I can't do that. When we go on the cruise in May, we go to Turks and Caicos on the Carnival cruise ship. I've already rented it from Scootabout. I've already rented my scooter that I'll have when I get to the dock to get on the ship. My scooter's waiting for me.
So, Ron, check this out. Here's a story. So, I have a friend who lives in my old hometown, New Bedford, Massachusetts. And so we're Facebook friends also. He changed his name, so I really didn't know who he was, but he said, "Oh yeah, remember me?" And so, but anyhow, so we was talking on Facebook, and at first he says, "Rick, can you help me?" Because he knows I'm in travel. Can you help me book a trip? I'm not sure if I want to do a cruise or a destination. Da 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 da. And you and Linda love booking. I'm like, ay, ay, ay. I like traveling, not booking. But anyhow, it's a person's choice. But yeah, so he says, "Can you help me?" I said, "Sure." So I was giving him options, so he didn't take my options, but he booked a cruise that he just left, I think, today on this cruise. And I don't know how this happened, but he rented a scoot around motor scooter without me, right?
Oh,
And so he says, "Rick, I called Scoot Around." I didn't even tell him I was in Scoot Around, and I took the training, and he says, I booked a motor scooter through Scoot Around, and he says, I gave them your name as the reference. I didn't even know he even knew, and he probably didn't, but he used Scoot Around, gave him my name as a reference, sent me the receipt, right? I take the receipt, I send it in to Scoot Around. I sent it in to Scoot Around, and they just responded back. This is like all within the last weeks, and they responded back. We noticed that you have a referral. Da 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 da. I get a 10% commission. I get a 10% commission. Probably around 60, $70. And I didn't even know, nor did I tell him I was a representative, a specialist, Scoot Around travel specialist.
oh, we have
And
companies
he,
of integrity.
yeah, and they honored it. I didn't even know. But he sent me the receipt. I sent it in. I said, "Hey, a referral of mine just booked a Scoot Around motor scooter, and here's the receipt. Please find attached." And so they said, "Now, if you want to get a check, we're going to take out a whatever fee. But if you put in your bank information, we'll send it in to direct deposit." And I'm thinking, you know, what part of this do people not get, right?
Well,
But to have access, and the key word of everything that we're saying is to have access to the industry. And I'll say this, when Brenda and I first came into the travel industry, we didn't want to book anything. We just wanted to travel wholesale instead of retail. And we did that for a year without doing anything else. And the beauty of that is no one harassed us. No one says, "Hey, how are you doing?" Nothing. They just, this is your own business. The other thing I wanted to say before we close is that you got to check for $500 on the Vortex. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vortex is a free complimentary link. When you come into Surge, you have something called the Vortex. You can give that out complimentary to all of your friends, family, someone in China, someone in England. They're not even coming to the United States. They book a hotel and you get a check where you are. You just made $500. And one of the things that I love about you and Linda, we all think alike. It's like, Rick, if I can make that $500, imagine if this was a church that gave out this free link to their congregation. That $500 plus would be coming back to the owner of the Vortex. It would be coming back as a passive fundraiser. And I like how you say stewardship. People are not giving as much online, for offering. And people that go on a trip usually say they went on a trip after the fact because they used maybe their tithing money or whatever. Now they book that trip to go wherever they're going through the church's complimentary vortex. The commission that normally goes away from the church now is harnessed to come back to the church. So imagine that $500 multiplied coming back to the church. Ron, that's huge.
Well, you know what? I give you a perfect example. Our church, there's an organization that the church actually has supported, and there's this gal that has been running a home for young men. And what happens is these are young men that they can come from broken homes, they could come from detention centers, whatever. But they come to this home. They got 18 months, and they get into a program. And this gal runs a training program to help them how to get oriented to living and being a contributor in life, a family. Understand how to have family works. They do all this. They get exposed to all this training in their home. At the end of 18 months, they graduate, and then they'll be in a position where they have a job, where they have opportunities for the future. And now we're opening the door because when I shared what we do with them, they want to implement this program. Some of them, not everybody, they're not going to sign every kid up to become a travel agent, but we have open doors, and all of a sudden they start thinking progressively that they can do something. And we're just giving them more means and ways to be outreach to look for. And now we have the solid training program that no one's tied down to a desk in their rock and they got to do this and that. It doesn't cost them anything to make phone calls. They're using their phone. What they're using their phone for is just to communicate, blah, blah, blah. They could be using it to earn income. I mean, it's ingenious.
It
It's,
really is. Real
it's,
quick, the organization, because I'm working with a company, an organization like that too. And I said, okay, the Vortex can be used for fundraising. Send this out to all your members and business supporters and people that support that they can book their travel because of supporting this empowerment cause, the Vortex. The travel agency and becoming a travel advisor could be a potential career opportunity for those who want to. Not everybody wants to, but it could be a career opportunity and for training. And then, of course, the travel agency can be used under the members program, where you're getting wholesale travel and concierge service can be used by the staff that's traveling. And so you can rotate up to 4 names through at a time. This person's going this week. Okay, we'll put their name in there, book their travel, get the wholesale rates. They come back, put another name in there, and just kind of rotate it through. You're able to do that, and it's going to save the staff of the organization a ton of money. And
it's
so
like a
we
company
yeah,
benefit. Creates
go
a
ahead.
company benefit.
It's a benefit. You slicing and dicing, right? Whether it's an individual, whether it's a family, whether it's an organization, whether it's a business, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a school, every organization, every entity can say, how can I use this as a tool? And the key word is access. It gives you access to understand the industry in total and say, okay, here's where we can benefit. Here's where we can benefit. Outside of that, you're a consumer. Back to you, Ron.
Well, I just want to thank you, Rick, for this opportunity to share these points today. And what's exciting is that we do this every Tuesday, and we had to change to this new Podbean Live, this new platform, and we're still learning to work to be able to expand and expose it. And by the way, you can invite anybody to join us. Mary Stanley is our coordinator for expanding membership, and people join us. We're going to be having a new platform for our website shortly, and that'll expose us in the world, and we'll be able to be in great places. We just want people to know that this is a great time of life to be alive. We're in the golden age, believe it. I heard a president say it. He's calling it the golden age. In the last 30 days, multiple companies have said we're going to invest trillions of dollars in this country. That doesn't money that goes into the ground. It goes into buildings and jobs, and people are going to be working. And then when they work, they want to go and travel, and they want to go places. We are in such a perfect position for the expansion and the growth like we've never seen that's happening, and lives are going to be improving. Health is going to be better. Living conditions are going to be better. Life is going to be better, and we're a part of it. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. And we just welcome other people to come on, jump on the train. We're going places. The freedom train is going forward. Thanks, Rick.
Woo, 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 woo. Sound more like a train.
Bye now.
Okay, we'll see ya. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Queen and Glenn.